Remember when everyone kept saying, the world has gone crazy during COVID? Well, this new film, Eddington, takes that collective madness and turns it into something truly haunting about modern America.
That's fascinating how they chose this tiny New Mexico border town to tell such a huge story about that period. The setting almost feels like a pressure cooker for everything that was happening nationally.
You know what's really striking about it? The way Joaquin Phoenix portrays this transformation of Sheriff Joe Cross. He starts as this reasonable skeptic questioning mask, mandates in a town with 0 COVID cases. But then, well, things get much darker.
The tension between him and Pedro Pascal's character as the progressive mayor is so well crafted. It's like watching 2 different versions of America colliding in real time.
And what makes it even more complex is how they weave in this personal history between them. The whole backstory about the mayor supposedly taking advantage of the sheriff's wife when she was younger. It adds this whole other layer of mistrust that goes way beyond just politics.
Speaking of his wife, Emma Stone's portrayal of Louise is absolutely heartbreaking. The way she gets pulled into that online cult world feels so relevant to what we saw happening during lockdown.
Oh man, let's talk about Justin Butler as that cult leader, Vernon Jefferson Peak. The statistics about online conspiracy group membership during COVID are pretty shocking. Some studies showed a 300% increase in engagement with these kinds of communities during lockdown.
What really got me was how the film shows the way social media became this amplifier for collective paranoia. Like how Deirdre O'Connell's character Dawn represents that whole demographic of isolated older Americans who fell down these online rabbit holes.
You know what's interesting? Research showed that during the peak of the pandemic, about 40% of Americans believed at least one major conspiracy theory. The film really captures how isolation and fear created this perfect storm where even rational people started believing increasingly irrational things.
Well, how do you think Ari Aster manages to make this slow descent into madness feel so authentic?
I think it's because he takes his time building the tension. Like studies showed that radicalization during COVID wasn't instant. It typically took about 6 to 8 weeks of increased online engagement before people started showing significant changes in their beliefs. The film mirrors that gradual process.
The way it shows Louise's transformation is particularly chilling. It's like watching someone fall down that rabbit hole in real time.
And what's really clever is how the film uses the AI Center subplot as this symbol of the deeper divisions in American society. You've got the mayor pushing for this technological future, while the sheriff is trying to preserve this traditional way of life. It's like watching the rural-urban divide play out in microcosm.
That's such a good point about the AI Center. It's almost like the mayor is trying to use technology to solve what are essentially human problems.
Well, what makes the film so powerful as a historical document is how it captures these specific details that almost feel unbelievable now. Like those protests where young white people were literally denouncing their own skin color. It's showing us real things that happened, but through this slightly heightened lens.
The suggestion that America might be even more extreme now than it was in 2020 is pretty provocative. Like, are we still living in that same kind of collective delusion?
You know, some sociologists have suggested that periods of mass hysteria typically last about 2 to 3 years. But what's different about our current situation is how social media keeps these cycles of paranoia and conspiracy going. The film really captures that feeling of being trapped in this perpetual crisis mode.
So, what do you think the film is ultimately saying about where we're headed as a society?
I think it's suggesting that these divisions and paranoia aren't just symptoms of the pandemic. They're deeper issues that COVID just brought to the surface. The fact that we're still grappling with many of these same conflicts 5 years later kind of proves the film's point.
That's what makes it such powerful storytelling. It's using this specific moment in time to tell us something universal about how fear and isolation can transform communities.
And maybe that's the most unsettling thing about Eddington. It's not just showing us who we were during COVID, but who we might still be becoming. The real horror isn't in the past. It's in recognizing these patterns are still playing out around us. We're giving Eddington a score of 7.5 out of 10,
You've been listening to Movies First.
Available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or your favourite podcast player. You can also stream on demand at Bytes.com.
This has been another quality podcast production from Bytes.com.